As always, is a good win. They're not ever easy. And through Big 12 play, and I mentioned this to you guys several weeks ago, every game is going to be like this for us with so many young players. We've got a lot of areas to work on, and our cover units were average. There were quite a few penalties on it, but still we need to cover better. We need to tackle better. Defensively, I thought we played good for 2.5 quarters. It started out slow, but for the most part played pretty well because early in the game, offensively, we weren't doing anything, just kept putting them back on the field. And that's the worst thing you can do against Tech. And that style of offense is put your defense right back out there, and that's what we did. So I thought overall the defense played pretty good. We had a couple guys get nicked up a little bit, so we were playing with a lot of freshmen out there. One time I counted 5 true freshmen. Made me a little nervous, but they went out and competed, made some plays. I thought Dax played good other than the one ball he threw on the goal line where he tried to throw across his body. Other than that, for the most part, I thought he played really well. Thought we ran the football better in this game. We still have a ways to go running the football. But overall, it's a win, and you got to get back at it, and we'll be in another slugfest next week.
Mike, you went back to the deep game a lot. You threw 12 to 13 deep balls. Is that because of what Tech doing defensively, or is that just what you like to see with Garmin and these receivers?
Both. I think he throws a nice deep ball, and they're real catchable. In fact, we should have caught at least 2 more, maybe 3 more. But they were challenging the run. Their safeties were down in the box, and when that happens, you don't have a guy to block them. You have to throw the ball over their head. So it's really where we ended up in the game.
You mentioned young guys. Mike, Ramon Richards kind of got thrown into the fire tonight. What did you see out of him? He had a pick, I know, and they targeted him a lot, but overall, how you feel about the way he played?
As soon as he went in, they threw right at him for the rest of the game. And he had some pass interferences. He's a freshman out there on an island, and he's fighting for his life. And a couple times, I'm not sure if it was pass interference or he was just trying to fight for his life, and the guy ran over him. But either way, he's out there, and he had to play.
What did you like out of Dax? You said for the most part you played good. What did you like out of him tonight?
Well, I thought he handled himself very well. His first Big 12 game. It's only his 3rd game at this level. For the most part, he understood exactly what we wanted to do. I thought he was much better in our run-pass checks. In fact, I don't remember him making a mistake run-pass check-wise. So he's learning, and he's getting better. He needs to learn to slide at the end of the game, and twice I told him just get the first down and slide, and he took a hit. That didn't fire me up. So he needs to learn to get down once he gets the first down. But he competed. He has to compete, and to play quarterback in this league, you have to be the toughest guy on the field. You're the one that gets hit, and you can't defend yourself, and so that's a choice you make when you play quarterback in this league.
Mike, he got off to a slow start and had the interception there. Did you see him almost, improve during the game in some extent?
He did. He started slow in the last game, and he did the same thing. We need to do a better job of getting him involved in plays that lets him get into the flow. But he played pretty good once he got going there. After about the 3rd series, he was rolling pretty good.
You seem to have a lot of faith in James Washington for a young guy. What is it that you like about him? I mean, you got a lot of receivers.
Well, from the day that he stepped on this campus, when we threw the ball up down the field, he elevated over everybody and took it away from him. He did it over and over and over in practice, and went up against some pretty good corners. And in most cases, if you do it in practice all the time, you have a pretty good chance of doing it in the game. Not always, but most of the time. And he has an uncanny ability to leap and take a ball at the highest point, and he's very, very competitive. No matter what the position is, if you're a guy that'll compete on every play, you got a chance. And so he's got a long ways to go. He makes some mistakes. He busted a few routes, but if the ball's up in the air, he's going to go up and get it. And he's going to make that effort. So Aikman did a good job tonight going up and getting the ball. He dropped one there at the end. He could have pulled one in and run in for a touchdown there. But for the most part, our guys on the edge caught the ball better. We had 3 legitimate drops on deep balls. One of them was a touchdown. Well, 2 of them would have been touchdowns. But overall, they were better for the most part.
Washington Comes from a really small school. How do you know on guys like that?
Our receivers coaches located him, and then obviously had communication with their coaches, and they just raved about, one, him as a person, his background, the way he was raised, his work ethic. And then he was a phenomenal athlete. He's a great basketball player. Obviously made a lot of plays in football. And what really interested us was he, and I don't know the story to be exact, but the tennis coach grabbed him and told him to come out for tennis, and I think he went all the way to state finals. I'm not for sure, but somebody can check on that. And either half that story, it's a fish story, you know. I mean, next week he may have won it. I don't know, but he's real athletic, and we liked him, and he had great upbringing, and he's a hard worker.
You mentioned all the young guys you guys used on defense. How much of that was part of you wanting to get those guys out there, like you said, you know, earlier in the week, and how much of it was sort of necessity?
They were out there because we didn't have anybody else. The depth on our defense is youth right now. And when you're playing an offense like Tech, experience is very, very important because they're really good at what they do. They understand their schemes and what they, where their routes are and their reads, and their quarterback has a really good feel for what's going on. And so when you're out there with young guys, I mean, you're just kind of holding your breath.
Is this team learning from the mistakes it makes and wins the way you would like it to?
I hope so. When you can make as many mistakes as we made and still win, it's a plus. And you don't get away with that very often. But we made a lot of mistakes tonight, but we were still able to win the game, and that's really important.
Mike?
It looked like most of your guys that went out, Stevens came back. I saw Hardeman at the end of the game, but Lampkin, I didn't see any sign of his. What's his status at this point?
I think he'll be fine. He has an ankle, but it's not a high ankle, is what I was told. It's just difficult to recover that fast. You know, he could be a guy that's out there next week, but I don't see it, and I miss on these a lot. I don't see it as a multiple week injury. We'll know a lot more tomorrow night and maybe the next day.
Mike, the touchdown pass to Hill kind of seemed to give you guys the separation you needed. First of all, was that kind of, I know you weren't sure the game was over until it was over, but was that a big play? And also, just from an aesthetic point of view, looking at it from the press box, I mean, Garvin looked like he had overthrown the guy, and he goes to another gear. Did you see it that way from the sideline?
You know, it's interesting in coaching. In practice, we said it would really be hard to overthrow him. And it's funny, sometimes it works out exactly the way that you coach it, is that once he gets rolling, he's so fast that if you put air into the ball, and he's very athletic and he has really good ball skills, that's not an easy catch. When you're running as fast as he's running and the ball's coming back over your head, and you would have to watch on tape, but it looked like he even accelerated more when the ball was thrown. So that was a really nice play, but the ball was thrown perfectly.
Did you feel that was kind of the play that maybe gave you guys enough of an edge?
Very well could have been. I mean, it kind of, you know, the aesthetic part of it, and everybody wanted to see it, and people in the community, I go to the bagel shop, or somebody says, how come you don't line Tyreek up and run him down the field and throw it over his head? And so, you know, we thought that's probably a pretty good idea.
Mike, you got Devontae Averett back tonight. What did he show you coming off that injury?
You know, I didn't watch him very much, and I don't even know how many plays. Glenn's here. He knows more about it, but I'm going to guess he was probably really rusty. But he was in there. He's practiced. Another young man's got a great attitude and great work ethic. But our concern with him in getting him prepared was all of a sudden now he's playing in Big 12. There's really not any warm-up games for him, and it's different, especially against this type of offense. So I would say there'll be a lot of corrections for him, but one of them won't be his effort and attitude, so he'll be fine.
Do you feel like he's healthy, though? There's no concerns about
Yes.
that?
Why do you think Bateman had such a big day? I think he had more catches tonight than he had all season.
Just because of the way they played on that side of the ball, Barry. You know, that safety, number 15, was jumping down in the box the whole game. And so, or 31, 15, or I think the other one was 7. You know, when they come down, I mean, he's by himself, so.
61 plays in the first half. I mean, Florida State ran 71 for the game when you guys played them. Did you like how conditioned your defense was? How they handled that? You know?
We got tired, but we're very fortunate that we have enough depth in our front four that we can rotate those guys, because that's usually where you see it the most. But we still have a concern about our second level players. They're playing too many plays, and so are back end guys now. And we would like to be able to manage that over the next few weeks to try to keep from getting hit that wall, is what we call it. So our practices will be reduced considerably because they only have so many steps in them. We'll just have to cut back because there's just not that much depth.
What happened on the kickoff?
Excuse me?
What happened on the kickoff?
You know, kickoff's hard unless you watch the tape. I know it wasn't any good. I will say this. I think 3 out of every 4 they had a penalty. So that makes it look worse. But we're not good enough. Are you talking about kick cover?
He's talking about the squib.
I'm talking about.
Oh, I don't have a clue.
Was it supposed to be a squib?
Not really.
It's a bad miss if he's trying to kick the deep.
Well, no, he wasn't trying to kick it deep, but I'm not sure that's exactly what our operation was. But that was my fault because we wanted him to change his location, and people say it should be easy. It's not as easy as you think for those guys. It's like directional punting. You can try to directional punt, but guys that aren't good at it, they'll punt it out of bounds all the time. So we tried to get him to do something he hadn't practiced, but that's not what we tried to get him to do. So that's not his fault. That's my fault.
Like you started touching on it, special team coverage, that's something you want to work on in the future?
No question. We got a lot of work. You know, we have 9 freshmen out there in coverage units, and so it's real simple. We talked about this. We can either put our starters out there and give them those extra 30 plays a game, or we can try to bring these young guys along. But a lot of those starters that would be on coverage units are on defense. They played 90 plays, so they'd be over 110 plays in the game.
Mike, how was your pass rush? You didn't really get to him until late in the game.
Right.
But how was it before that? Did you still like the pressure?
I thought it was average, and then it got good but not great. And then late in the game, I think our depth helped us, the 4 guys that we could rotate in, and then we started to get more pressure. Some of that, Barry, could have been because they had a quarterback that hadn't played, and obviously Cliff knows more about it, but whether he's as quick on his reads as the other guy could have been a factor. So I thought it was average, and then it was good but not great.
You guys used a 2 tight end set occasionally. Obviously Blake Jarwin caught the long touchdown. Was that to help your offensive line, or is that something that Blake and them have shown you?
Both. You can protect your edges some, give yourself a little bit different look. Should help you run the football, and then he's earned the right to play in the games. He's made plays in practice, and he's worked hard, and he's a young guy that has ability and should be a good player here in the future. Deceivingly faster than what you think. When he catches the ball, he runs pretty well.
Mike, if you've answered this, I apologize, but run game probably wasn't where you wanted it against UTSA. Was it better tonight?
I already answered that, Bob. And, since it's your first year, I'm not going to. It was better, but we got a long ways to go. There was times that we were able to crease. I think we made the safety miss 3 times. And in a game like that, we had 42 rushes. We really should have been in a position to make the safety miss about 8 or 9 times on that many carries, because most of what we did was inside. There wasn't much outside. For whatever reason, they had really wide ends, and they played that the whole game. And so everything was inside. We were better. We did hit air and get the 4 and 5 and 6 yards at times, but we still have to create enough separation to where he can make that safety miss and get more big plays than what we're getting right now in order for us to stay competitive in league play.
You guys good?
Good. All right.
Thanks, Mike.